Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Access Entertainment, and with us today, Brad Gillis of Night Ranger. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. You know, we've been on the road for almost a month now. Got another week to go, and it's our little long run of the year. So we're trying to finish this one out, and then we get back home and do a couple of weekenders, and we head off to Japan, and then we come back and do Honolulu and Maui. So that's the highlight of the year for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, that'll be a nice way to end it all. I was saying before we started, the last time I spoke with you was to talk about Mega Mega. That's how long ago that was. So
wow, we're talking the 90s. Yeah, that's right, when Night Ranger broke up for a couple of years. I put this band together, and it never really happened. So, you know, luckily Night Ranger got back together after the damn Yankees run, and we've been hitting it hard ever since.
Absolutely. And first off, I have to say thanks so much. I now have High Road stuck in my head all over again. It took most of June just to get it out of my cranium, so thanks for that.
Wow. Yeah, no problem. That's one of those songs that, you know, you listen to it and you go, it's okay. Listen again, that's pretty good. Listen again, then you can't get it out of your head. So no problem there, you know. We like to, you know, Night Ranger's formula is still working, you know, big choruses and you know, cool guitars and, you know, memorable songs.
I was going to say, Night Ranger is truly sort of reconnected with its sonic roots on Somewhere in California, and now with the new record High Road. So many other bands from that era have really struggled to do that. And after all the changes in music over the last couple of decades, how did you guys, I mean, you've never really lost your sound, but you've sort of gone back to that signature sound of when you guys were really big in the mid-'80s there.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a formula. And basically, you know, you got Jack and Kelly, you know, singing lead vocals and trading off, and then with the twin guitars that we have in the band, doing the solos and the harmonies together. So, you know, just like the sorts of, you know, Don't Tell Me You Love Me and It's Still Rockin' America and songs like that. We decided, you know, with the big chorus hooks that we had in the past, we just kind of wanted to get back to that formula, and it seems to work. Our diehard fans are really digging what we're sticking true to form. And, you know, the only difference is our sound's more modern, you know, everything sounds bigger these days with all the, you know, with the Pro Tools and, being able to, you know, reconstruct old sounds and make things sound bigger and louder.
Absolutely. And High Road has that classic upbeat Night Ranger feel to it, but there's also some darker elements that perhaps we might have heard back in the 80s had the label not been pressuring you to try and recreate Sister Christian on every record. Is that sort of how you guys feel you can actually do what you do so well, but also do some of the stuff you never really got to do when you wanted to?
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, you know, back in the 80s, we got pigeonholed after Sister Christian. It was such a big mega hit that the record company, every album we released after that, they would only release the ballads, you know, which is great because we had Sentimental Street that came out, and that was a great song. But then there was these other, every record would be another ballad, and it kind of killed us. And we kind of lost our male audience towards the end of the 80s, and it was tough for us because we've always been and always will be foremost a rock band, you know,
right,
that's able to play the ballads, but able to slam it hard with songs like Touch of Madness and you know, Don't Tell Me You Love Me. So, you know, we wanted to get back to our roots and you know, write songs that were kind of convey the, you know, the original sound and feel and energy of the first couple records. But, you know, we threw in a couple twists, you know, on the new record. This Man Don't Live Here Anymore that Kelly sings, kind of a ballad bluesy type feel song that, you know, it's a little different for Night Ranger, but, you know, overall the record is definitely Night Ranger rooted.
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I was going to say, thank you for the segue. We don't have time to talk about all the tracks on the record, but I wanted to get the backstory on Don't Live Here Anymore and I'm Coming Home, which are two of my favorite songs on the album.
You know, we always got to throw, you know, a couple type ballads in there, and there's a few of them on the record, but Kelly came up with that song, This Man Don't Live Here Anymore, and when we heard it, we just thought, wow, it really showcased his voice, and it was a new feel for Night Ranger, that type of tune. So we were glad to put it on the record. And, you know, we actually took our time on this CD and started it about a year and a half before its actual release back in June. And the reason being is that we got together, we throw together some songs. Next thing you know, we're going on the road, and we get home, we go back and fiddle with a couple more, and we go back out on the road. And that gave us the luxury of time to be able to, you know, actually pick the best songs for the CD, I think we probably wrote, 17, 18 tunes and picked the best 12 for the record. So, the luxury of time was great for us because it really gave us a chance to put out a great record. We went back and forth on the mixes, and every time they come back and we make notes and talk about it, and everything just kept getting bigger and bigger. Then finally, like they say, you don't finish a record, you abandon it. It's like, no more, it's done, release it.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll just pick it apart, pick it to death. But it's a phenomenal record. I'm absolutely loving it still this summer. It's a great summer record for sure.
Yeah, back in the '80s when we released, songs like "You Still Rockin' America" in '84, people kept saying, "Oh man, I love cranking that C." Let me rephrase that. I love cranking my cassette in my car with the windows down on a hot summer night, listening to the Night Ranger. It's so great. So, we try to get that summertime feel, and we had the summertime release, and we're just still trying to get the word out there about the record because things are a little different these days. We don't have all the airplay that we used to have in the '80s because everything's so diverse now and modern and moved on to different genres of music. But we still are able to get out there in some of the classic rock stations and different stations that pick up on us. And of course, we pull off, we play High Road during our set and get everybody singing along the yeah-yeahs on it, and it's come across really well. You never like to put too many new songs in a set because everybody wants to hear the big hits. So, we kind of stack the deck by doing, two Damn Yankees tune. We do, from my stint with Ozzy Osbourne back in '82, we throw an Ozzy tune in there too, and plus do all the big hits, and the new song, and a couple B-sides that people still know that were maybe videos on MTV in the '80s. So we kind of stack the deck.
Give everybody a little bit of everything. So I got to ask, you spent a good portion of your career obviously playing alongside Jeff Watson, and now for the last many years you've been playing alongside Joel, and Joel just announced he'll be joining Whitesnake after this current tour. Night Ranger has always been known for their dual guitar harmonies, so you can't really plug and play just any other guitarist. What will it be like for you to find another player who you have that amazing chemistry with?
It's a hard one because, like you said, it's like replacing Lou Gramm's voice in Foreigner and having Kelly in there, doing it, but he sounds great doing it, and it works. So we've used different people in the past, and our choice is going to be great. Who we pick in the long term, and Joel's moving on to Whitesnake. He's been a good 7 years with us. It's been great, but. Whenever there's a change, you always make the best of it, and we will prevail.
Oh, absolutely. I just sort of wondered as a guitar player what that's like for you, trying to get in that groove with somebody brand new, because you guys have such a unique style of how you do things with the harmonies. So
right. Well, we were used to Joel going out and November and December doing the TSO, Trans-Siberian Orchestra gig, right. And we'd bring in different people for that. We had Red Beach in for a while doing stuff, and this other guy named Kerry Kelly. Yeah. And Kerry Kelly played with Alice Cooper and been playing with John Waite lately, and and actually we got Kerry back in the band now. Joel's pretty much gone. And, they're doing a Whitesnake record, and he's got his hometown Broadway gig, Rock of Ages, that he does. So we brought in Kerry Kelly, and Kerry's a great player, and we actually sat down yesterday for about 4 hours in my room, and he'd played with us before, but I just wanted to reacclimate him to all the little nuances that we play at harmonies and stuff, and he's a great player, and we're actually starting with him tonight here in Detroit. We're co-headlining with 38 Special out here, and so Kelly's back in, and we're going to do our first show with him tonight. But he's done quite a few shows with us before, and he's a great player. We went down to Puerto Rico last year, and he played down there. We did a 2-hour show and just blew everybody away, and it was a great show. So we're definitely not missing a heartbeat on this one.
Nice. Yeah, I thought Joel was finishing out the tour, so it's great that Kerry was already there and ready to go and everything. So you guys, when I see you next week, you'll be here in Boise, Idaho, and it's been a while since you guys have been here, but you guys will be here with Boston. And not many fans realize this, but Night Ranger has a long-standing connection to Boston and former Sammy Hagar guitarist Gary Peel. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yes.
When we first started doing our demos back in 1980, before we were called Night Ranger, we were called Ranger, and we were doing our demos. And Gary Peel lived up in the Bay Area. We're all from the San Francisco Bay Area. That's where we started out. And he had a nice little 8-track studio, you know, in his home. And we went up to Gary's house, and we recorded our first, you know, big-time demo with Gary, and that led to us getting our first record deal. You know, those demos turned into going into the studio and recutting those tunes in a big studio, which led us to getting, you know, our first deal back with Boardwalk Records in 1982. And, you know, we came out with a bang with Don't Tell Me You Love Me, and MTV had just started, and we were on our way, you know, and we had a good run the first year, and then the second year we ended up doing our second record, Midnight Madness, and we released Still Rockin' America. It was all over MTV, and next thing you know, boom, Sister Christian came out, and that totally changed our game. And you know, as we were before, we were opening for you know, people like Cheap Trick and CC Top and bands like that. When we released that and Sister Christian, and that went to the top of the charts, we started headlining. And I'll never forget pulling into La Crosse, Wisconsin in 1984, going to the Coliseum there, and the marquee says Night Ranger sold out. It was our first sold-out Coliseum, and that took us on our big run through 1989. But Gary Peel had a lot to do with the inception and the original demos sound for Night Ranger, so we got to thank him for that. And we've done a few shows with Boston so far, and got a few more coming up, and it's great touring with them because they're a great band and they sound great live.
As do you guys. I've been watching a lot of the live stuff on YouTube. Thank God for technology. I can get a chance to see you since you don't come through here very often. But, you know, fans love trivia, and it's been just over 3 decades since you recorded those iconic first 2 records. What do you remember about those studio experiences from that period? Because obviously it's totally different than the way it is now. And, of course, those were your first couple of records as the band, so...
Yes, well, you know, I just remember because we going down to L.A. because we'd... record down in Los Angeles in a big studio down there, and we had, you know, Pat Glasser, may he rest in peace, as our producer, and he had a great ear for getting the best out of us. And you know, I just remember, you know, going in, and you know, records they would take about 2 to 3 months doing a record because back then you just wanted everything right and perfect. There was no auto tune for vocals and all that kind of stuff, but we had the luxury of you know, all these different amplifiers to play through and big studio microphones and getting a big drum sound, and it was a blast. But it was the 80s, and there was a lot of partying going on, man. You know, we finished the session, we'd head down to Sunset Strip and go to the Rainbow and the Roxy and you know, all these cool clubs back then, and have a lot of fun. And it was not only fun doing records, but hanging out in that L.A. scene. So I spent about a year of my life down in L.A. doing these, you know, 3, 4 records, a couple months at a time. And, you know, things are different now, you know, and, you know, everybody could usually just record at home or whatever. And the last couple of records we've done up at Jack Blade's house up in Santa Rosa, California, in the North Bay.
Right.
And he had a big, beautiful studio up there, which is actually free, which is, you know, which is great because, you know, studio costs these days can be $1,500 a day. So, you know, we were able to, you know, record exactly how we wanted it, the luxury of time, and then we take it from there and then send it out to get to mastered and out to the public. So it's just the way it is now. But it's like I said, it's a lot cheaper, you know, now to do it. I got my home studio. I record my guitar parts at home and just put it on a hard drive and go up and slide in up at Jack's. And Kelly could go home in his home in Nashville and record vocals if he wants in his studio and fly it in. But mainly we did most of our stuff all together up at Jack's. And that's, you know, we wrote all the songs up there together, and, you know, I'd bring in some riffs, or, you know, Kelly and Jack would have vocal ideas, chorus ideas, but we just get together and start slamming stuff out, you know. The best thing to do is just get in the room together and shut the door and start banging all these ideas out and then record them, and then you wake up the next day and listen, you figure out what's viable for the record. We ended up doing, you know, 16, 17 songs and picked the best 12.
Right. Someone once told me Don't Tell Me You Love Me was originally written as sort of a slow jam sort of a song, and you guys sort of turned it into a heavy rocker by accident. Is there any truth to that?
Well, no. We when we first got together and started slamming out tunes. The very start of Night Ranger, the five of us got in the room, went up at Jack's living room. This is way back in the early 80s, 1980-ish. And actually what happened is he brought in Don't Tell Me Love Me, and we were playing the song, and it was that the chorus was that halftime feel. Well, the whole song was that halftime feel. And I brought up the idea, hey, man, why don't we double time these verses? And, and halftime the chorus. And we started jamming it double time in the verses, and that's how it became to be. But, like I said, it just started out with that halftime feel and got doubled up for the verses into the halftime chorus.
Nice. So last question. Your third solo album has been brewing for a while. I understand it may be out early next year. What can you tell us about the record? Any guest names you can share at this point? What's going on with that?
Well, I've been so busy, man, with finishing the Night Ranger record a while back and interviews and on tour. But whenever I'm home, I'm doing a couple new tracks. And I got about 18, 20 things right now, and it's pretty much slamming hard rock, but melodic hard rock, and I've been talking to quite a few guest vocalists about getting in and singing on it, but actually I'd like to just grab one big guy and come in and sing the whole record, which I'm looking into now, but, I can't really say any names, right, because if it doesn't happen, then it's, for the horse. So, just letting you know, my tracks are slamming, they sound huge, and I'm looking forward to getting off the road and delving into it so I can possibly have something released early next year. Talking to Frontiers Records that released the Night Ranger records, they're a big label out of Italy that pretty much has everybody.
Right.
But they release all over Europe, and they license to the USA and to Japan and different countries. So they're interested in releasing it, and so I'll be. Hopefully be lucky enough to get a worldwide release with it and make some noise with it. So, yeah, I keep myself busy doing music, all the time, Rustin. And I got to tell you, I wake up in the morning and I fire up my, computer and I open my shades. I got this beautiful view of all these rolling hills and no neighbors around me. And I just wake up and do music all day long. And I thank my lucky stars I have the luxury of doing that. And it's been great for me. I do a lot of music for ESPN and Fox Sports and stuff like that. And I'm just finishing another dozen tunes for ESPN. I've done over 300-something songs for these guys in the last 15 years.
Right.
So that's something I like to do, keep me busy musically. But I got to tell you, 30-plus years of being a professional and releasing records, and to be able to just, wake up and do music all day and have things get out there, I'm very lucky, and I'll just keep moving this until the end of time.
Absolutely. I remember that beautiful house of yours and your little studio there, and you do keep busy. Last year you were on a Vicious Rumors album, I believe. You were on Jeff Tate's last Queensryche album, and of course all the ESPN and Fox stuff. It's fantastic that you do so much. So thank you so much, Brad, for taking the time to chat with us and for 3+ decades of great music, going all the way back to Rubicon.
Yes, yeah, back in the late 70s. I got to tell you, Rustin, the biggest day of my life is still playing with Rubicon at the Cal Jam 2, March 18th, 1978, with Aerosmith and Hart and Dave Mason, Ted Nugent, and it was just 250,000 people, man, and I was 19 years old with Rubicon, and just flying in there and all the people and just all playing this big show, and they recorded it. It was released as a double live album, and they showed it on TV. And I got to tell you, man, that started it all. When I played that show, I always do. I wanted to play music, but that really set it in my heart that, man, let's go for it and get. I'm going to go for it and get it and make some noise. And luckily, Night Ranger came out, got the record deal, and then I had my stint with Ozzy for about 9 months and released the Speak of the Devil album with Ozzy, and Night Ranger came out. We released Speak of the Devil and Dawn Patrol the same week in October 1982. So I had 2 big records released the same week, which is, was pretty amazing for me, and we've had a great career, and we're almost doing about 100 shows this year, and we're going to just keep this train a-rolling.
Awesome. Brad, again, thanks so much for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night when you're here in town.
Perfect. Thanks, Rustin.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Take care, brother.